How about the Steelers nominees this year? I believe it was Hines, James Harrison, James Farrior, Gary Anderson, Casey Hampton.
Don't get me started on the Hines Ward debate here, because this is the time of year it gets me angry every year, because, he's by far worthy to be in this Hall of Fame. He should have been worthy. He's a 1,000-yard receiver. He's a guy that's have all the accolades of 2 Super Bowls, a Super Bowl MVP. He's a huge, big game player. If you look at all the big games, he would come up big in them. Don't forget the blocking. And if you want to do comparisons, you put his numbers right next to Andre Reed, and they're almost identical. And Andre Reed got in about 7 years ago, and Hines is still waiting. And Andre Reed lost 4 Super Bowls, and Hines won 2. So I think Hines is well past deserving being in there, but it's not going to happen, man. It's just not going to happen. It's a shame.
It really is a shame that I've been railing against for, a decade now. Here's a couple of hot takes that I presented earlier in the show that had people, including City Limits, quite upset.
Uh-oh.
2 of them. I think the James Harrison play is a better football play than the Immaculate Reception. 2, I forgot 2. What was my other hot take?
Was it the Tony Romo one?
No, I can't remember. Deal with 1 while I think of 2.
Gardner Minshew's really good?
Yeah, that was one. Gardner Minshew is the perfect outlaw quarterback with the mustache and everything, rejected by other teams. He's the perfect Raiders quarterback. But what do you think of the James Harrison? Oh, the other one was that I would vote for James Farrior over James Harrison as a Hall of Famer. I think he's one of the most underrated players in football history. I know Harrison won a Defensive Player of the Year, and that's sometimes your ticket in. Farrior was 4 votes from beating out the great Ed Reed one year.
I remember that year. He should have won it that year, 04. That was one of my first years on the beat, maybe my second year on the beat. He was robbed. In my opinion, if his name wasn't Ed Reed at the time, he was Farrior absolutely deserved that. I mean, I haven't really dove into the Farrior numbers to see how they're compared to anybody else, but I just tell you, he was an absolute fabulous player when he got here. In those 6-7 years he was here, I mean, he was the ultimate consummate leader and pro. And he had decent numbers. I'm sure, like I said, I would probably have to look at him a little bit more. Harrison has those big plays. Harrison has the sack lead.
He's a sack guy. Yeah, and Harrison was great. Don't get me wrong, of course.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably go Harrison over Farrior. I don't think either one of them would make it, but Farrior is very much forgotten. I do believe when you talk about the greats of all-time Steelers defense, he's in. I mean, there's a lot of greats of the Steelers defense. So if you're going to put him in the top 20, maybe top 15 of all-time Steelers defenders, I wouldn't argue that. As for that play, I mean, that's tough, because you got the Immaculate Reception that meant so much to the organization, but it was a fluke play, and you just had an absolute fabulous play that you'll probably never see again, which I guess you would never see the Immaculate Reception again. And Harrison that absolutely turned that game around, basically gave you a Super Bowl. I think, obviously, Franco's play meant more to the organization, but the better play was probably Harrison.